guys, my name is Elise. Welcome back to another week with the Foundry Kids, and welcome back to the last week of our March series called Work in Progress. In this series, we have been talking about forgiveness, what it means to be forgiven, what it means for us to forgive people, and today we are talking about how God will always forgive us. And I'm really excited to share this parable with you guys today. But before we do, let's stand up and sing a song.
I know the reason why my feet can't stop, my heart can't help but sing. It's a wonderful feeling to feel your love for me, to feel the joy you bring. Your love is the answer, so I sing to you. The reason is you, Jesus. You're why I'm singing out. The reason is you, Jesus. You're what it's all about. At the cross you set me free, and I'm thankful that you love me. Whoa. While my hands are up, my feet dance down below. It's a wonderful feeling that I belong to you, no matter where I may go. Your love is the answer, so I sing to you. The reason is you, Jesus. You're why I'm singing out. The reason is you, Jesus. You're what it's all about. At the cross you set me free, and I'm thankful that you love me. I'm thankful that you love me. All right, let's get it. Come on. 1, 2, 3, sing. I can't stop this feeling. Jesus, you're the reason. I never wanna shake this feeling. Jesus, you're the reason. I can't stop this feeling. Jesus, you're the reason. I never wanna shake this feeling. Jesus, you're the reason. The reason is you, Jesus. You're why I'm singing out. The reason is you, Jesus. You're what it's all about. At the cross you set me free, and I'm thankful that you love me. So thankful that you love me. Come on. I can't stop this feeling. Jesus, you're the reason. Let's go. I never wanna shake this feeling. Jesus, you're the reason. Come on. I can't stop this feeling. Jesus, you're the reason. Come on. I never wanna shake this feeling. Jesus, you're the reason.
This week, we are talking about another parable. Last week, we talked about a parable from the book of Matthew that talked about why we should forgive others. And this week, we are talking about a parable from the book of Luke about how God will always forgive us. And remember, Jesus, when he was talking to his disciples and his followers, he talked in parables a lot of times, which is giving a story as an example. And so this story is an example of how God forgives us. So let's learn more about this parable today.
In the meantime, it's time for...
The story before the story.
Today, we're in Luke. But before Luke, in the very beginning, out of a deep, deep love, God made an amazing world.
But when people turned away from God, the world was broken.
God made a plan to draw people back into relationship. So, at the right time, God sent a tiny baby to be born in the small town of Bethlehem. God's very own son, Jesus.
When Jesus grew up, he began to travel from town to town, teaching and healing. Often when Jesus taught, he spoke in parables or stories using everyday things to help people understand spiritual truths.
Which is where our story starts.
Take it away.
Hey everyone, I'm Chloe.
Hi, Chloe.
One day, while Jesus was teaching, a group of tax collectors and others who were considered outcasts gathered around Jesus. The religious leaders were totally shocked by this.
This man welcomes sinners and riffraff.
He even eats with them.
Jesus turned to the leaders and invited them to listen too. He spoke to them in parables, or stories, one about a lost sheep and one about a lost coin. The third story was about a lost son. There once was a wealthy man who had 2 sons. The youngest son was totally fed up with living at home. He hated having to do what his dad said and trying to live up to his perfect big brother. So he did something extreme.
Give me my share of all your money.
Now, this was really rude, but it's even worse than you might think. Usually, family money would only be passed on to children after the father died. So it's like the younger son was saying he wished his father was dead. Even though the father must have been terribly hurt, he divided up his property and gave a share of the money to the younger son.
I'm in the money. Woohoo, the sky is sunny.
The younger son took off for a faraway country. When he arrived, he started spending money like it was water. Fine clothes, awesome food, wild parties. The younger son lived it up, big time. But you can guess what happened. The money ran out. And right about that time, a famine hit. It was hard to find food, even if you did have money. The younger son was stuck, so he went to work for a pig farmer. The younger son was so desperate, he actually wanted to eat the disgusting pig scraps. The sharp hunger in his stomach woke him up.
At home, my father's servants have more than enough food to eat. But I'm dying from hunger.
The younger son started to form a plan.
I'll go home to my father. I'll say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven, and I have sinned against you. I am no longer fit to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. Yeah, that's it.
So the younger son set off for home. He was tired and weak, and the journey seemed to take forever. But at last, he neared home.
I'm no longer fit to be called your son.
But while the son was still a long way off, his father saw him. The father's heart was filled with love. He ran to his son and threw his arms around him and kissed him.
Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer fit to be called your son.
But the father called out to the servants.
Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattest calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. This son of mine was dead, and now he is alive again. He was lost, and now he is found.
In no time at all, the younger son was dressed in fresh clothes instead of rags, and found himself the guest of honor at a feast. His head must have been spinning. But meantime, we can't forget the older brother. The whole time his kid brother was out living wild and wasting money, the older brother was working hard for their father. The older brother had been out in the field all day, so when he came home to the sounds of music and dancing, he was shocked. He called one of the servants.
What's going on?
Haven't you heard? Your brother came back. Your dad's so excited, he killed the fattest calf for a party.
What?
You should come in. Your father's looking for you.
Let me think. No.
Just think what you'd feel like if you were the older brother. This whole thing was so unfair. When the father came out and begged his older son to come in, the son let him have it.
Look, All these years, I've worked like a slave for you. I have always obeyed your orders. You never gave me even a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But this son of yours wasted your money on crazy things. Now he comes home, and for him you kill the fattest calf.
The father looked on his older son with the same love he gave his younger son.
My son, you are always with me. Everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad. This brother of yours was dead, and now he is alive again. He was lost, and now he is found.
And that's the end. Jesus didn't tell the crowd what happened next. Maybe the older brother had a change of heart and came inside to have a blast with his brother. Or maybe he held on to his anger and stayed outside, alone. The end.
Wow, there is a lot going on in that story.
Yeah, sometimes I get the younger brother. Sometimes I want to do what I want to do. But then also sometimes I feel like the older brother, and I want everything to be perfectly fair.
They both needed forgiveness.
The younger brother for being hurtful and making really poor decisions.
And the older one for being angry and bitter.
So, what's our part in the story?
Well, the father forgave both his sons. He forgave the son who did big, bold, awful things, but he also forgave the son who did everything right on the outside, but had a hard, bitter heart. And God is just like that father.
God is always ready to forgive you for what you've done, no matter how big or small.
If you go on a website that your parents specifically told you is off limits.
Or you had a rotten attitude when your mom asked you to do something.
If you lie about brushing your teeth.
No matter what, you can always come back to God and know that God will forgive you.
Just like the younger son.
And the older one, too.
Knowing God will forgive you is never an excuse to try getting away with something. You will only hurt yourself and others. But you can have absolute confidence that God will always welcome you back, no matter what.
It's the most amazing news ever.
You got that right. See you next time.
Bye, Chloe.
I really like this story of the parable of the lost son because it shows that even if we feel like we did something really, really bad, God will still love us. Just like our parents will still love us, even if we do something not so great. And God will always forgive us. This is just one example of how God will always forgive us in the Bible. The Bible is actually full of examples about how much God will forgive us. So I hope that you guys are able to practice forgiving someone this week. And if you guys need forgiveness, I hope that you're not afraid to ask God for forgiveness because He will forgive you. It's super easy. You just have to ask. And before we go, I'm going to go over our memory verse one last time. So our memory verse for the month of March was Colossians 3:13. And it says, "Put up with one another. Forgive one another if you are holding something against someone. Forgive just as the Lord forgave you." So we forgive others because Jesus forgave us first and will always, always forgive. So I hope you guys learned something great about forgiveness this month. I can't wait to talk to you guys next month. Next month is Easter, so you already know some of the stories we're going to be talking about, but I can't wait to share them with you again. So I'll see you later. Bye.